Like a parade, yeah. Yeah, yatra, pada yatra, walking procession. Yatra. Are you the Madunga player? Very good. So Rathayatra, and this is not just Rathayatra itself, does not mean anything more than that. This is the Jagannath Rathayatra. Jagannath Rathayatra. So this is here you see on the first slide here, Jagannath Rathayatra. That's of course a slide from Jagannath Puri, fairly recent one. Jagannath Puri, for if you do not know, and even if you do know, it's good to hear it anyway, is in Odisha, in India. And every year they have their annual Rathayatra festival, which is just occurring. I think is occurring this weekend also, maybe this weekend. Maybe this weekend also. I'm not sure, but very soon. Maybe this weekend. I'm not sure, but very, very soon, or maybe the weekend after. But it's very soon in Puri. Pardon? Does it starts on the 13th? That's Monday. Yeah, Monday. So that's more or less this weekend if it's the 13th. Yeah, it's fantastic. Huh? And of course, the deities go to the Gundisha temple and they stay there for a week. And they return Rathayatra after a week back to Sri Kshetra, the temple where they normally reside in Jagannath Puri. And in India, they made a law, governmental law, that no Jagannath Rathayatra can take place any time of the year other than between those 8 days. The outgoing Rathayatra and the ingoing Rathayatra. All Rathayatra festivals have to take place between those 8 days. Now, that's difficult for Iskcon because we have about, maybe 200 or 300 Rathayatras in India every year, Jagannath Rathayatras. So they have to try to squeeze them all in with those 8 days, which they can't really do. But they're doing the best they can. We used to have 40 Rathayatras in Delhi alone, just in one city. Can't do it now. Since COVID, it's gone down as well. But now it's really gone down. Well, not really, but it's gone down somewhat because of this new law. Outside of India, the law cannot be imposed. But some temples do follow that principle. Most temples don't, because you have to accept what date the government gives you or what day you can do it, isn't it? You can't do it on any day. They won't let you do it any day. I don't know in Glasgow, but most cities, they don't let you do it during the week, for instance. It's, going to interfere with business, interfere with the flow of traffic, interfere with people's working lives, and so on. This is probably a concern. Even Saturday in many places they won't give you because it's a busy shopping day, depending on where your Rathayatra parade is going. If it's in a park, they don't care less. In Liverpool last week on Saturday, we had it right. Some of you know Liverpool very well. You know it quite well, don't you, Shija? You know the main mall, the main center of the city? I don't know the name of the squares there, but the real main pedestrian mall. We were just going up and down there, making as much noise as we could for a couple of hours. Wasn't it, Ishan? Nobody bothered. It's got some special, I don't know, Liverpool has something special about it, doesn't it? Not many devotees join from Liverpool, but the city has a very special good fortune. They have a huge temple there, let's say temple, preaching facility there now in Liverpool. And the Rathayatra there is just so free going. No problem. I didn't see a policeman. Did you see Ishan, a policeman present? I don't think so. I didn't see a single policeman at the Rathayatra. That's unusual, isn't it? Really special. Krishna's got a special plan for Liverpool, and he's already launched it through the Beatles, of course. That was a major launch. And now Rathayatra and many things. The next day on Sunday, we had Rathayatra in Birmingham. And there weren't many police around there, to be honest. We went right through the main shopping area too, from New Street Station down to Broad Street, going very slowly and stopping for a long time all the way and then back again. A couple of hours parade. Amazing. Thousands of devotees. Wonderful to see. But they won't let you do it on a Saturday. I think you have to be on Sunday there. Well, some places have those restrictions, but never mind. Whenever we can, we try to, let's say, enter into Rathayatra, Jagannath Rathayatra festival. So we begin with Jagannathastakam, originally said to be compiled by Adi Shankar, supposedly, and it's uttered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in glory of Lord Jagannath. So some of you are familiar with it, most of you may not be. And we're not going to sing all 9 verses. We're only sing the first 4, okay? Because it's quite long, and our time isn't forever. You can play this beat. It's not 2 and it's not 3. You know that? It's kind of 2. Kadachit kalindi tata vipina sankitaka bhavo. You'll get used to it. Muda biridari vadana kamalaspara madhupaha. Muda kamalaspara madhupaha. Rama Shambhu Rama Marapati Ganeshaki Tapado. Rama Shambhu Rama Marapati Shachit Tapado. I'm sure you know a quarter of this song. You know the last line. That's 1/4 of the song. You're doing well. You learned 25% already. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Avatu Me. Excuse me, I was exhausted after the car drive up the hill just now. I don't think I'd have made it if I had to walk. I lost my breath. What to do? Puje Savyevena Yurthi Sheki Purpishang Katitate. Tate Dukulam Nitrante Sachari Katasham Vidadate. Sada Srimad Vrindavanavasa Lila Parichayo. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Atagami Avatu Me. Mahambodhistire kanakaruchire nila shikare. Vasan prasadam tak sahaja balabhatrena palina. Subhadra madhyastak sakala suraseva vasarado. Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Avatume. Kripa pada vara sajala jalada treni ruchiro. Ramavani Rama Pura Rama Lakhankehu Pamukhaha. Surendra Radya Sutiganna Shikagita Charito. Charito. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Avatume. Rathayatra gachan patimilita bhuteva patalahi. Tuti pador bhavam pratipadam upakanya tadayaho. Jaya Sindhu Bandhu Sakala Jagatang Sindhu Sutaya. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Avatume. Param Brahma Pira Kuvalaya Dalotpula Nayano. Nivasini ladro nihita chodhano nanta shirasi. Vasanandi radha sarasava puralingam nasuko. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Avatu me. Navaya Cherajan Kanakamanikya Vipalam Naya Chehang Rang Yang Sakala Janakang Yang Varavarum Sakala Janakang Yang Vara Sada Kali Kali Pramata Patina Gita Charito Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Avatu me. Padatang Samsaram Dutataram Asaram Surapate Padatang Papanam Vittatim Aparang Yadavapate Oho dine nate nito chorano nestitam idam. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Avatu me. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Avatu me. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Avatu me. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go Premanandi, Sri Jagannathastakam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Jagannathastakam punyang yat patet prayatak shuchihi, Sarva Papa Vishuddhatma Vishnu Lokam Sagachati. Jai Jagannath. The translation of this song, Lord Jagannath sometimes makes the melodious sounds of playing music and singing. Is anyone recording, by the way? On here, okay. Sometimes makes the melodious sounds of playing music and singing out the groves on the banks of the Kalindi River. He's like a bumblebee, experiencing great delight while tasting the nectar of the lotus-like faces of the cowherd damsels. His lotus feet are worshipped by great personalities such as Lakshmi, Shiva, Brahma, Indra, and Ganesh. May that Lord of the universe kindly become visible unto me. It's a very deep song, and often we sing it with very little, what we say, consideration of how this is to be understood. We barely enter into it. We simply sing it. It appears like it's an appeal of Adi Shankar, Lord Chaitanya. May you kindly be visible unto me. Well, that's nice. There's a lot more to it than that. It's not that just, Krishna, where are you? You can say, where are you? But show yourself to me. No, not exactly. Very deep. Even here we see Jagannath making melodious sounds, playing music and singing throughout the groves on the banks of the Kalindi River. We don't normally, you say, think of Lord Jagannath in this regard. But he's seen by his devotees, as the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yeyata mam prapadite, tam tataiva bhajamyaham. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So as we surrender unto Lord Jagannath, he reveals himself accordingly to our mood, according to our need, according to our relationship. So in the case of Mahaprabhu, of course, the relationship is with Shama Sundar. So we see here, Lord Chaitanya also sang this song, but particularly in this song, we see that that mood is sometimes manifesting. In the second verse, in his left hand, he holds a flute. Upon his head is a peacock feather, and around his hips is a fine silken cloth. We don't dress Lord Jagannath exactly like this. Maybe, yeah, peacock feather and silken cloth, but not a flute. From the corners of his eyes, he casts sidelong glances upon his loving companions. You notice on the Rathayatra festival that as Lord Jagannath, where's Lord Jagannath coming from? Is he coming from where? Which temple, home, room? Where's he coming from? Nobody knows. Maybe he's not coming yet. Have you invited him?
We have him here.
Oh, you have him here. Where is he?
He's in room 10.
He's in room 10. Eh? He booked in, did he? He's in room 10. I'm in room 11. He's next door to me, is it?
No, he's in the other building.
Oh, a different building. He definitely got a booking, has he?
Yeah, he's got a booking, yeah.
No gate crashing, huh? Free of charge. If you charge him, he's the Lord of the universe. Where he lives there all the time?
No, he lives behind the altar.
Oh, he's in the altar normally, yeah. He's in hibernation right now, is he? He's been sick. Maybe that's why I'm having problems too, maybe because of him. Let's see what Saturday brings. He casts sidelong glances, isn't it, on the Rathayatra festival? Have you noticed that? It's like, I don't know, all three, you have 3 days on the chariot, right? 3 days? Some places they just have Jagannath, I've seen, but most places have 3. And they're like glancing at all the people there on the streets, isn't it? Showering everybody with the mercy of... We can't see the, Lord Chaitanya was showering everyone with teardrops, like syringes coming out of his eyes, showering everyone in every direction. We can't see that, but in one sense it's going on as Lord Jagannath glances in every direction, seeing all the pious citizens of Glasgow going about their daily business, getting the greatest good fortune of the darshan. When we say darshan, that's another interesting topic which we won't touch on tonight. Actually, it's the Lord getting darshan of us. Very big subject. In fact, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj said this is the primary understanding we have to have in Krishna consciousness. Everything's based on that principle. Everything. All I have to say, he said, is summarized in that one line. We're not the drishta. We're the seen. We're the drashta. That which is seen. Krishna is the seer. We're the seen. We are his darshan. So you know for yourself, you don't like to take darshan of something unless it attracts your senses, right? You don't like to see something unless it's attractive. Krishna's the same. That's the practical aspect of it, to become pleasing for Krishna's vision. So when we say, "Oh Lord of the universe, kindly be visible unto me," is basically an appeal to the Lord that we become eligible, that become pleasing to him for his own vision. Then he'll happily reveal himself to us. He reveals himself to everyone anyway. Some people as death, some people as a statue, some people as an idol, some people as nothing at all. Some people as the impersonal material manifestation of the impersonal Brahman, a reflection of me. Different people see it differently. Devotee sees it as their object is love, the object of their love, kindly allowing us to serve him in this way. So he glances out accordingly and reciprocates just when Krishna entered the Dana Yagya of Kamsa in Mathura. Everyone saw him differently. Huh? Everyone saw him differently. Krishna revealed himself differently. He allowed everyone to have that vision according to their own So if we want to really see the Lord, it's Premanjana Trita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksataiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. We have to rise into the self of pure love. Not just sentiment, not just emotion, not just some fantasy, some sensual desire. Sometimes we say, I saw Krishna. I saw Krishna in my dream. Sometimes we hear, especially Indian people, they often say this. Never mind. Prabhupada one time said, don't worry, keep chanting, it will go away. Not cheap. But we can see Krishna. How do we see Krishna? We see Krishna through his words. And we take that as our guiding line. We see his hand working in everything. We see the world around us as Krishna's energy in everything we see. We see Krishna's presence behind it. Of course, you can say you're having a kind of reflection, in a sense, on our consciousness. We're seeing the deities, the pictures. In so many ways, in one sense, we are seeing Krishna's presence there. The devotee doesn't think, I want to see Krishna. I'm not interested in you. I want to see Krishna. I'm not interested in devotional service. I want to see Krishna. I'm not interested in his energy. I want to see Krishna. I'm not interested in the battle of Kurukshetra. I want to see Krishna. That's not devotional service. At least that's not the way to please Krishna. Kind of a sahajya mentality almost. He is most fond of the pastimes he conducts while living in Sri Vrindavan. May that Lord of the universe kindly become visible unto me. Who'd like to press the buttons? Who'd like to press the buttons on the computer? It's a very difficult task. I can give you a lesson. You get a special diploma. You get a diploma if you can do this. A button presser's diploma. Well done. Well done. Expert. Ooh. On the shore of the great ocean is a large palace that glows with the effulgence of solid gold and is topped by a towering temple spire that appears to be a blue sapphire mountain. We may not see all this. Come on, what eyes do we have to see what's actually going on? We can hardly see anything. Even with mundane things, we see the Himalayas. We only see a little tiny piece of it. We see a little bit. We can't see its extent even on the material plane. It's limited vision, limited hearing capacity, limited smelling. Everything's so limited with our conditional bodies. So we see something which is enough to attract our attention if we're a little devotional. But it's only a fraction. It's like a tip of an iceberg. You know, icebergs? You know icebergs? You have icebergs in here? Huh? There's an iceberg. So, you know, it's all under the water, like 95% under the water. You can't see it. You see the tip, right? We're just seeing the tip of these places. And we're thinking that's all there is. You know what happens if you think that's all there is to an iceberg? You're going to get wrecked, completely wrecked. If the Titanic got wrecked like that. You can't see this blue sapphire mountain. It's there, but we don't have the vision. Takshri Krishna Namadi Nabhava Dvayamindra Sevan Mukhahi Jiva Dos Vayamudastvachiraha. With our material senses, what can we see? What can we see? Very little. We certainly can't see the transcendental nature of the Lord, that's for sure. We can hear about it and try to act in such a way, the pure devotees teach us to act, so that we may become eligible, our senses become purified, our consciousness becomes purified, and gradually the purified consciousness, the vision starts to awaken. Then, residing therein, along with his mighty brother Balabhadra, and in between them his sister Subhadra, Lord Jagannath bestows opportunities for all godly souls to render various devotional services. May that Lord of the universe kindly become visible unto me. See, there's the key. Bestows opportunities for all godly souls to render various devotional service. This is Rathayatra. This is devotional service. Opportunities to render all kinds of devotional service. we don't take the opportunity, we will never see Lord Jagannath. You can look at a million pictures, you can sing a million songs. You can pray, you can do what you like. But unless we're willing to render service, there's no question. In the Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna say in the 9th, 12th, 18th chapters? How can we see him? How do you see him? 11th chapter, 18th chapter, how do you see him? Huh? Tatam, tatuk, tatam, Tesham satatayuktanam. This is the process, isn't it? Krishna gives the understanding by which you can come to me. But there's two more direct verses. In the 11th chapter and the 18th chapter. Yes, that's another verse. That's a Parabhakta Sutra, but that's not exactly the verse which explains how we can see him. That's basically when you are seeing him in one sense. At least your consciousness is fixed on him. Yes, Jaggy. Same thing, huh? Well, maybe you're already on that platform. I'm still struggling underneath somewhere. I haven't reached that platform. The verse before that one, I think it's the one before that one. No, quite a bit before that one. Maybe the verse after or before Brahmabhuta Prasanatma. I think it's 1854. Bhaktyamama vijanati yavanyasasmitatvatata. That one. No? I cannot be understood by any other method other than pure devotional service. In the 11th chapter, he says more specifically, I don't remember the Sanskrit, back to the Ananya Manaso. I cannot be seen by any other method, not by reading, studying, austerities, learning nothing, only by devotional service can I be seen. Another place, standing before you as I am. It's only with eyes, purified vision, which happens through the practice of devotional service. No other means. He is a fathomless ocean of causeless mercy, and his beautiful complexion is like a cluster of blackish rain clouds. Is that the sheep? Is that the sheep singing? They're chanting in the fields. And his beautiful complexion is like a cluster of blackish rain clouds. He derives great pleasure by hearing the words of affectionate chastisement from his beloved goddess Lakshmi. His face is like a fully blown, spotless lotus. That's interesting sentence. He derives great pleasure, isn't it? By hearing words of chastisement. We don't usually derive great pleasure. When we're a little more Krishna conscious, we'll understand even whatever the causes are, whatever the justifications are. When we're chastised, it's actually a merciful hand of the Lord working through someone else maybe. Maybe they themselves are inappropriate in their behavior. But the devotee sees it, somehow or other, Krishna speaking to me in this way for my benefit. We may not feel great pleasure, but at least we can reason that there's some fault within my perception, and Krishna is trying to rectify my fault through this person, no matter who they are. It's a test of Krishna consciousness, you could say. He's worshipped by the best of the demigods and sages, and his character and activities are glorified in song by the topmost personified Upanishads. Where's my button pressure? You're not going to get your diploma, boy. You just failed the test. You have to sit it again. As the Lord mounts his Rathayatra cart and parades along the road, there is a constant accompaniment of loud prayers and songs, chanted by large assemblies of saintly Brahmins. Hearing their hymns, Lord Jagannath is favorably disposed towards them. See the swing in manifest moods. Started off almost like on the banks of the Kalindi with a flute and dancing and singing. and the loving exchanges between his devotee and Shyamasundar. And now we're hearing all the Brahmins and saintly persons stood on the roadside, and they're reciting Vedic prayers and mantras reverentially. O Lord of the universe, all glory is unto you, blah, blah, on and on they go. All different Vedic prayers. The Lord accepts that too. It may not be so sweet, but he accepts it because that's their level of consciousness. And he reveals them as such, as a, whatever form they understand him as, whether it's Narayan or whatever it may be. He is an ocean of mercy and is the true friend of all the world. He is the ornament adorning the head of Parabrahma, the supreme spiritual reality. His eyes are like the blossom petals of a blue lotus flower, and he resides in the Nilachala temple that resembles a sapphire hill. His lotus feet are placed upon the heads of Lord Anantadeva. He is overwhelmed by the flow of transcendental loving mellows, and he becomes happy only by embracing the luscious divine form of Srimati Radharani. I certainly do not pray for a kingdom. So now we're kind of going back again really into the process, Iskcon, the mood of Lord Chaitanya. I certainly do not pray for a kingdom, nor for gold, rubies as well. Many times when people come to the temple, when they chant the holy names of God, when they have a deities at home, when they go to a holy place, they're praying for material results, isn't it? Some of you are from Indian descent. You know very well the common factor of praying to the gods to give me this and give me that, cure this and cure that. Are you praying to get a diploma in button pressing right now, just in case you fail the test? Pray for something. Pray for, samosas and puris for lunch tonight or something. Everyone's thinking of something, isn't it? Yes, he's a good man. Even in other religions, please give me today my daily bread. Prayer. Give me. Show me. Remove. Elevate me to the heavens. Me. Isn't it? Me. Devotee only asking for pure devotional service. Why? Because that pleases Krishna. It's not just therefore I can then. No, it's to please Krishna. Like lovers, one partner always acts in a way to please the other. They're not thinking to themselves, they're thinking of the other person. Devotees like that. Oh Lord of the demigods, please quickly take away this useless material existence that I'm undergoing. So the first thing is to clear our hearts. So this is a relevant prayer for those who are still connected or contaminated, still conditioned, still attached to this material energy. How sincere we are is what counts, not just the prayer itself. We repeat prayers over and over again. Half the time we're not even conscious of what we're saying. But even if we are, the sincerity may not be very deep. We may be just, not willing to let go. Not willing to let go of our attachment. We think it's like a magic wand, Krishna, and suddenly we wake up in the morning, experiencing a higher taste or something. Krishna can do that, but that's not the process. We can do that if we want. Please destroy the boundless accumulation of my sinful reactions. Aho! It is certain that Lord Jagannath bestows his lotus feet upon those who feel themselves humbled and helpless. We can't do it. It's totally up to his mercy. We can only pray to him, knowing how fallen we are. And this is the conclusion or the summary of these. Those who are fortunate enough to sing these songs. The soul of that self-restrained, not retrained, be restrained, says retrained, and virtuous person who recites these 8 verses glorifying Lord Jagannath becomes cleansed of all sins and duly proceeds to Lord Vishnu's abode. Jagannathastakam ki jai. Well, we're going to show a bunch of, I kind of put things together this afternoon, and I had the most, I didn't have all of them by any means, but I had quite a few slides from here and there. None of them are high quality, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe they are. Not very high resolution, but there's something to see. I haven't got the time. It's not my business. I just like to put together slideshows from time to time so that we can visually experience what we're trying to enter into. Visual experience, at least according to our capacity. So anyhow, with the first slide, they're not in any absolute order, but interesting slide. Of course, this is, I presume, an ancient painting. Quite, I don't know how old. Many of the paintings are done in the last few hundred years. Some by Muslims, some by Hindus. Muslims will also paint sometimes these scenes. They had no cameras in those days. So you can see the Rath car was at the temple. It looks more like the temple, doesn't it? This is the rising of the temple. Yeah, this is the temple of Jagannath. It's somewhat akin to what we see today, but it's a painting. We don't know. The ground, we're not going to go there, how the original appearance of Lord Jagannath took place through the means of Indradumna Maharaj's great devotion and Vishvavasu and all the others who were involved in this amazing pastime. You can read it in the Jagannath Priya Natakam. Jagannath Priya just left. She was here just now. She's on the altar. Now he's doing the Natakam on the altar now. Jagannath Priya Natakam, a beautiful book written by Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Dramatic is a drama. Please read it. It's very beautiful. A little bit of dramatic license, but the story thread is appropriate, is according to the original, but it's a little dramatic license on certain areas. Beautiful story of how this temple came about, how Lord Jagannath appeared in this world. And the other day we were in Birmingham, and the MC, fantastic MC at the Rathayatra, I give him all credit, but he kind of got stuck on, you have a record sometimes. What's going on here? It's 6 o'clock, is it? No. Almost, yeah, you're right on time. He was a really good MC, but he got stuck. Sometimes the old gramophones, the needle gets stuck on a groove and it just keeps saying the same thing. He kept saying the same thing. This Rathayatra started first in the 12th century AD. He kept saying it. He read it somewhere, I don't know where. I never heard it before. Perhaps it did, perhaps it didn't, but it doesn't start. It's like we say Bhagavad Gita started 5,000 years ago. Is that a correct statement? Is that correct? The Parampara started, etc. Anyway, we always like to measure things, and this is actually sometimes required for the sake of, appreciation or some kind of acceptance, but it's not literal, it's not absolute. It's just some relative subject matter discussed there, but it's Rathayatra is eternal. It didn't start 1,200 years ago or 2,000 years ago or 5,000 come to that. It's eternal. These activities are not of this world. They're spiritual. All spiritual activities are eternal. They're all eternal. All of Krishna's pastimes are eternal. They may not be seen to us. They may seem to appear within the framework of time, but they're all eternal. Rathayatra also is eternal. We just get a little glimpse of it from time to time. So this Rathayatra in Puri has been going on for timeless. No one can say how long. You could probably trace some historical date, but it just means it appeared. It's like some of you came in here 30 minutes ago, an hour ago, right? But you were outside. You were existing somewhere else. You may appear before me at a certain point, and then you disappear before me, away from me. That doesn't mean you no longer exist. So sometimes the Lord performs his pastime, manifests in this universe at a certain point of time, according to universal measurement, but it's eternal. It's like the sun. sun always there. 6 o'clock comes and goes, but the sun's still there. We just can't see 6 o'clock. Okay, this is not really in order. You have to excuse me. And I'm not going to go into this pastime either very much. We will if we have time. But one of the essential threads from the devotional point of view, from our point of view, Gaudiya point of view, is every aspect of it is essential. But from the Gaudiya point of view, the Rathayatra festival has many meanings and many purposes, and seen from many different angles. But the primary angle, which we touched upon just now, saying this is an eternal festival. Why is it an eternal festival? Can you suggest some reason? Anyone? I guess you have to know the basis of the festival to really consider that.
Because it's a celebration of the Lord being back in heaven.
You're right, but you could add a little bit more of that. It's a little bit more personal than that.
Not coming out to see everyone.
Yeah, that also is kind of like secondary. It's not, that's not necessarily to be conceived or understood so easy as a permanent or eternal pastime. It is, but you can't, it's not the real one. What are our known roots in this particular time, place, and circumstance of Rathayatra? What does it represent? You were on the right path, by the way. You didn't just, you need a little bit more deeper than just that celebration of Krishna's coming back to Vrindavan. Go a little deeper.
Is it the pastimes that they're going back to Vrindavan because Radharani pastimes wanted to do this?
Yeah, this is it. I mean, this is it, but then of course it goes deeper in terms of why and how. But yes, it's the anchoring or the heartfelt intent. We can't put a word to it, maybe there's some word. Intensive desire. He's feeling a mood, a particular mood, isn't it? What's the mood Radharani is feeling? Separation. Vipalamba. This mood, although there is no real separation, you could say in Golok, Vrindavan, the spiritual world, the mood is there. Because it's such an intensive and even more in ecstatic than meeting. Mood of separation. So this is an eternal mood of Radharani. Where's Krishna? Bringing him back to Krishna, Vrindavan. Bringing him back. Where's the Lord of my heart? Where's my pranana? Where is he? So this Rathayatra festival is a continual, you could say, to us, manifestation of that mood. And when you take part in the Rathayatra festival, positively speaking, negatively, you still get a distant result, benefit, no doubt about that. It may take time. But if we positively engage in that principle of satisfying Radharani's desire, and what will satisfy Radharani's desire at Rathayatra? What do you think? What would you say? Now, if you may not agree, that's up to you. But if you do agree, anybody agree that Rathayatra is really meant for satisfying Radharani's desire? Anyone agree or not agree? Maybe, maybe not. Not sure. Not sure. Anyone really sure? 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, keep chanting. Even when we chant, it's really meant for that. That's what we're praying, isn't it? Why? Why? Radharani, even coupled with, going out and giving his mercy to everyone, that's Radharani's desire. We don't have that desire. That's her desire. Why? Why? It's very simple. What does Krishna say? Who are you? What do you say you are in the Bhagavad Gita? Was it 15th chapter? Mamevangsa jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Who are we? What are we? What are we? Scotsman? No, you're not Scotsman. From Ukraine. No, you're not from Ukraine. You're from Manchester. You're a Mancunian. What are we?
Tiny fragments of Krishna.
Yeah, Mame Vanksa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanata. We're the eternal fragmental parts and parcels of the whole. And as a part of the whole, we're meant to serve the whole. In the material world, we're in a whole, but we're not serving the whole. There's the process of getting out of the whole and entering into the real service of the whole. That's our business. That's what we're meant for. We're not meant for trying to be our own God. We're meant for pleasing Krishna. Only Radharani contains the completeness of pleasing Krishna in full in every respect. And what is her desire? If you have a child, some of you have had children, have children. You have children, correct? Two? Where's the other one?
It's now 18, so.
What difference? That should be all the more reason he's here. It's time for brahmachari life. Bring him here. Move him into the ashram. And many of you have had children or would like to have children. You have a child, huh? Your child? One? Two. Where's the other one? Oh, there, but where's the other one? You can't see anyone. Oh, you're hiding there. I see. Haribo. Speak English? Do they speak English? They do. Where are you from?
I'm from Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan. Oh, very nice. Wow. Haribo, welcome. You're from, who's from you? You're from Ukraine. You're from Ukraine. Who else is from Ukraine? Anyone else from Ukraine? Are you together? No.
No, we're together.
Together here.
Iskcon.
Krishna in the center. So wherever we may think like this, we may think like that, but our real business of Radha, I mean, okay, you have a kid. Now, worst case scenario, your child gets lost. This does happen sometimes, for whatever reason. Or you think they're lost. They've gone off somewhere. How does the mother think? What does she feel? Huh? Complete anxiety. Goes mad sometimes. Can't. Yes, delirious almost. If it's too much. Sometimes it's delirious, isn't it? Because your child. Where is it? And I say, don't worry about your child. I'll give you $1 million. Will you be happy? No. Don't worry about that. I'll give you a holiday on the moon. You can become the Prime Minister of England. I'll give you anything you want. Probably won't want that one. It won't satisfy. There's only one thing you want, isn't it? That's the price of Krishna consciousness, when we only want that. Right now we have Bahushaka, this child. Our intelligence is trying to get many things, isn't it? Radharani only has one thought on her mind, how to please Krishna. And by Krishna's parts and parcels acting independently of Krishna's will, to her, that is unbearable. That's why she's the personification of compassion. It's unbearable for her to see that, Krishna's parts and parcels have chosen not to serve him. She just, anything she can to bring them to their senses and bring them back to their rightful position of bringing pleasure to Krishna. That's what Rathayatra is all about. Bringing pleasure to Krishna. More and more and more. So the couple of the both the bringing the parts and parcels, as you know, if you can bring that child back home, how does the mother feel? From one extreme to the other, isn't it? One moment she's delirious, the next moment she's in ecstasy, isn't it? Just like that, boom. That's how it is. At least that's the mood, the feeling that Radharani has, to bring all of Krishna's kids back home, back to God, to please Krishna. Not to please himself, but to please Krishna. That's all devotional service is. Simple formula. It's nothing less or more. It's simple as that. Devotional service means that which pleases Krishna. It's not an activity. It's not what I like. It may be, it may not be. but it actually means that which pleases Krishna. Anyway, we could go on and on in that vein of thought, you could say, but this is one of the essences of this Rathayatra. And a great lesson is being taught in this Rathayatra festival by one personality who you see here in this painting. It's, it's a painting. It may not exactly be as it is, but that's how it's described more or less. Who is this personality? I should be on the picture. If you've got the same picture as me, he's up there.
All right.
Don't say Lord Jagannath. Huh? Yes, King Prataparudra. King Prataparudra. And we haven't got time to discuss that tonight. But this is a great, amazing pastime of King Prataparudra. And how he demonstrates, unrelentlessly, he demonstrates how one can become qualified to get the darshan of the Lord. You can't just get it because you want it. We have to have the right attitude. The attitude. The process of attitude developing is, of course, it takes time. It's a process of transformation. Transformation. It's not changing bodies as we see bodies. You could say subtle body, yes. But it's a transformation of our perception. It's not the world, not transforming the world, not transforming ourselves exactly, but how we see things, our perception, which changes if we actually hear and chant the holy name. If we actually hear from the right source, the Bhagavad Gita. If we engage in service under the direction of the pure devotees. Our perception changes by the grace of Krishna. He clears our perception. By purified senses, one can see. This is Rathayatra festival. It's so important for everyone, public, devotees, everybody. Absolutely everyone. Lord Chaitanya is so pleased with putting on Rathayatra in Glasgow, I can tell you that. He's so pleased by it. And the more you absorb yourselves in this festival, pulling the ropes, what else can we do? Oh, you've given the game away. How we can really enter into Rathayatra? What can we do to please the Lord on Rathayatra?
Sing and dance.
Pardon?
Sing and dance.
Sing and dance. Of course, I mean, the drunkards come out of the bar also singing and dancing sometimes. Be a little bit more specific. Finish your point. You know it.
Yeah, chanting the holy names and singing and dancing.
Yes, singing and dancing, singing the glories of the Lord and dancing accordingly. We don't dance out of false ego. We may a little bit, but that's not the real point. We're dancing for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. We may not, it may be mixed, there's no doubt. But still, that's the principle at least. To sing the holy names of the Lord, to glorify the Lord, and to dance in ecstasy for his pleasure. It may be, but Prabhupada said that look, even though we may not be dancing, in the Rathayatra festival in Jagannath Puri, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was present, of course, the dancing was not ordinary dancing. Lord Chaitanya chose the dancers himself. It wasn't like every wild free for all like we have. He chose the Mridanga players. He didn't choose the djembe players. Though. He chose the Mridanga players. I'll say one thing about the Birmingham Rathayatra. I was very pleased to see there were 8 Mridangas and no djembes. First time I've seen that for years on end at the Rathayatra. This time. That means they're actually thinking what pleases the Lord and not just please themselves. Very nice. There's a way of playing any instrument, and that can play any instrument, Lord is very merciful, but it should not in any way cover the Mridanga or lead. It is not a lead instrument. No matter what instrument you're playing, how good you are, it has to serve the Mridanga and sing the sound of the holy name and the kirtan. It shouldn't, even the accordion shouldn't drown it out. It has to accompany and enhance the holy name and the sound of the Mridanga. They are the instruments to please Lord Jagannath or Lord Chaitanya. I don't know what you've got in mind in Glasgow. I mean, I've been in Rathayatra where there's like 6 djembes and 1 Mridanga. Can't hear a thing. There's where there's massive Punjabi drums, you can't hear even the holy name, it's just booming out. Yeah, there's something there, but that's not the real point of it all, to make a noise. It's to please Lord Chaitanya and Lord Jagannath. And that's another point. But the dancers and the singers and the musical instrument players are not just showing off their expertise, the latest tune that they've learned on YouTube, you know, from your favorite artist, or let's say the latest dance steps that you picked up in Bengal last time you went there, or something like that, you know, latest rhythm beats on the mridanga, which you want everyone to listen to, or your fabulous electric cartel playing, etc. Or, you know, the most fancy dress that anyone could ever imagine. That's not what it's for. They're not doing that. They're dancing exactly according to the heartbeat of the Lord. Group Damara is singing exactly according to the mood of the Lord. What songs, what moods, what rhythms enhance the Lord's mood. The musical instruments, everything exactly to create. You know, they have this, I don't know if they do it in England, but in Spain they have this charanade. Is that what it's called? Charanade. In the cafes, you know, boys and girls, when they meet, they have this fellow there, sort of violinist usually. Now your heart starts, you know, twanging, you know, with love. They play a certain tune to enhance your loving emotions and so on. Well, in any field they do that. In a war, it's like boom, 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 boom. You know, you work people up like with fire. You know, get them moving. Mars. Isn't that classical music? Who compiled that? Mars. Chopin? No. What was his name? One of these waltz, yeah. The planets, not the planets. Each planet has its own character, and the music is in the mood of that character, the planet. Mars is the planet of war, so the music is like boom, 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 really strong. So like that, they're all following the Lord. They're not just making up their own thing, you know. Hey, it's my turn to sing now. You've gone overtime by 1 minute. You know, I was supposed to start at 6:15. You better get on. Come on, stop. It's my turn. It's not like that. Sometimes it's like that with us, isn't it? I got my slot, and if I don't give me my slot, I'm not coming to this Rathayatra again. That means you're not there in the first place. You're kind of there, but, you know, not really there. It's not like that. It's not about, you know, doing my thing. I'm on the rush car. Woo! No, it's not like that. Those things go on, but that's not the essence by any means. It's just a little bit on the surface. So to enter deep, this mood of selfless surrender, and this is taught, and you have to read that yourself in Chaitanya Charitamrita. King Prataparudra demonstrates this from beginning to end. It's a pastime over many years, not just on the spot. 3 years this pastime went on, until he finally got the darshan of his Lord. Became eligible. He was eligible in the beginning, but the Lord was teaching him through Prataparudra Maharaj. He was teaching us. He was eligible from day one. He's none other than Indradumna, the very king who brought Jagannath to the universe in the first place. He's come back again as King Indradumna, and showing us how we can also bring the Lord of the universe into our hearts, be embraced by the Lord of the universe. We'll move on. This is just a slide. I don't know how well you can see it. I haven't, you know, had time to move them around, make them bigger, this, that, the other. This is a painting, maybe the last century. I don't know, but you know, it's not absolutely to scale. Indian art doesn't usually go to scale. It represents the scene. It's not like, it has to be exactly measured. It's meant to represent the mood, the scene, the millions of people gathered. There's a duplication. I did it in a rush. And this, you could say, is the fruit of King Prataparudha's loving mood towards Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Jagannath. Really got this great opportunity we won't go into. It's also the mood which you mentioned, Tavakatamritam Tapta Jivanam Kaviviridam Kalpapapaham. It's this mood of preaching that message. Radharani herself, in the mood of separation, said, the only relief for those who are suffering in this material world is to hear topics concerning Krishna. This is the only medicine, the only relief. There is none other. Everything else is stopgap measure. This is the only relief. Such messages should be broadcast all over the world. One who takes that on is the greatest welfare worker of all, to spread this message all over the world. This is the only relief, really speaking. You can have all kinds of other temporary things, but they don't actually relieve the causal problem of our forgetting Krishna or seeing ourselves separate from Krishna. It's a very old painting of I don't know how old, but probably quite old, of the gopis. And they're pulling the Lord back to Vrindavan, pulling and pushing in Kurukshetra. We heard about that just now a little bit. Here's another scene of the Rath car during Mahaprabhu's time, supposedly. Lord Chaitanya dancing. We haven't got time to go into his dancing. That's a whole evening in itself. Just to cover his dancing, we're reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita and just visualizing the Lord's dancing. Haribol, Guruvakti, Krishna. Visualizing the Lord's dancing during Rathayatra. Isn't it? You've read it at Hoksha, probably. Isn't it incredible? You're kind of like, whoa, you just get sucked in there. It's like inconceivable. Anyway, it's a beautiful paint. I've got a whole series of these beautiful paintings, traditional paintings of Mahaprabhu in Puri. Repeats. A lot of these are repeats. I have to apologize. This is a very interesting one. This is, as you can see, I typed that in, but it's actually a painting or pic. I don't think it's a photo. No, they didn't have photographs then. I don't think. Rathayatra, which was depicted in an English newspaper in 1857. Quite something, huh? Yes, you see other pictures like that, which appear to be, the chariot appears to be more like a temple than what we see nowadays. I don't know how authentic this is, but that's what they put in the newspaper in the UK in 1857. Boy, you've got a giant banana there. Are you going to feed us all? That's enough for all of us tonight, isn't it? Hey? Wow. Is it nice and sweet and ripe? Good, good. You can see the same kind of mood is here, devoted arms up and playing musical instruments. Elephants would also be engaged in those days in pulling the Rath car. Elephants and so many strong men pulling the cart. Not quite like the cart. I mean, I don't know how big your cart is in Glasgow, but it's probably smaller than the Rathayatra in Puri. Am I right to say? A wee bit smaller. Just a wee bit, lad. Just a wee bit, lad. Only a wee bit. Okay. Is that there? Where's the Scots? Who's the Scotty? Who? Oh yeah, 3, 4 real good Scotties there. Oh my God, we can have a great time. Yeah, you Scotty. Old crows sitting in a row, huh? There were 4 old crows sitting in a row. And when one of the crows did accidentally go, there were three old crows sitting in a row. One by one, we all go, huh? I'll read you something about what happens when you go in a minute. That's part of this show, actually. Here's another similar painting, same time era. I don't know if this was in the newspapers in England or not, but it's another picture of the Rath car. And you can see it's quite different to what we normally envision. No reason to say it wasn't like that. We don't really know. But that's how it's painted there. This is what we see more traditionally That's the Grand Road in Puri. Some of you have been there. It's a big, wide road. I think it's about 100 meters wide or something, at least. Packed with people. They say 1 to 3 million. They don't count. 1 to 3 million people usually attend the festival. I don't know if that many will come out in Glasgow on Sunday. If we count the insects and the birds and the beasts and the trees and the germs and everything else you'll come across, maybe. Prabhupada started this Rathayatra festival, and this is another, I don't know if you've got a children's cart, but I was talking to Bungananda in Birmingham, and I was really inspired because I was in Birmingham or Liverpool. And he was saying how much he really makes every effort to make sure there's a children's cart there at the Rathayatra. It's really, and I didn't think of it before in the same way that he was so convinced, and I was really impressed by his conviction. This Prabhupada started when he was like kid, 7 years old. You know, that impression was so strong. And they let the children pull the Jagannath cart when they're young kiddies. It's such a big impression on their hearts. It's such a big service which you can do. To have a little cart. It doesn't have to be much. It can even be a pram with, you know, a little temple on top. Something very simple for the kids, you know, that they can pull in front and be in front of all the loudness and dancing. They have their own little thing up front there, you know. It's really an important samskara, essential for the children. Okay, we're going to London, since most of you are familiar with London. This is Rathayatra, I don't know what year, it's probably 1970, I would guess. Rathayatra in London started, hey Govinda, Rathayatra in London started when? When did Rathayatra start? In London. 1969. Rathayatra in San Francisco started when? First Rathayatra in the Western world, Jagannath Rathayatra, first ever in the Western world. 1967. Now in London, 2 years later, it started in 69. They did not have a temple. They did not have Radhalandineshwar. They had nowhere to stay. Prabhupada, they started the Rathayatra festival before anything else, practically. Practically before anything. I don't even know at that point if they met the Beatles. I don't think they had at that moment of time. They started in 69, and on the first Rathayatra in London, which was Marble Arch to Trafalgar Square even back then, there were quite a lot of people who attended it. I don't know if I have pictures from 69. I've just gathered a few which I could quickly get this afternoon, put them together in this slope. But you can see this picture. You know what those people in black are? They're bobbies, London bobbies. Huh? The London bobbies. There's loads of them. They're lined up all around the parade. You can hardly, it's not like one or two here and there. They're forming a cordon, all the way around. Yeah, all the way around. It's like a rope all the way around. So many of them. It was free in those days. You didn't have to pay for them, you know. They came automatically. But the first, I'm amazed that they ever allowed the devotees to do a Rathayatra after the first one. You know what happened in the first Rathayatra in London? Some of you must know. Everything started off, Prabhupada wasn't there. The devotees started off after about, I don't know, maybe 50 to 100 meters. The whole cart collapsed on the road. The wheels fell off. They couldn't move it an inch. They had to carry the deities all the way by hand to Trafalgar Square. And it created the biggest traffic jam in London history. You can imagine, a big, how the heck they're going to get that thing out of there with no wheels on it? I guess they put some cranes in later on the thing, but it created a huge traffic jam. I'm amazed that the council allowed us to do it again. A bit more liberal in those days. So then they, this may be 1970. It looked like they're doing pretty good there. This will be probably 71 because that isn't the year I was there. I started in 72. So it looks a bit more upbeat. You see, this is the plinths. You know, if you've been to Trafalgar Square, you've seen Nelson's Column. You've seen Nelson's Column, any of you guys? I know it's on the other side of the border. You may have been down there. Anyone been down there? You've been there many times. I've seen you do dramas right there and then. And that's called the plinth. Where they're standing on the first level, at least, that's a stone plinth at the bottom of the great column. And we used to have everything going on there. You know, the whole program would go on there, you know. Whatever was going on would go on the plinth. Still does, doesn't it? Or does it not? They have a stage now, or they have it on the plinth? I never look. I'm always somewhere else doing something else during the festival. They're on stage. So they may have another arrangement now. But then we also do it on the plinth. That was our stage. You see, right in the middle is Saraswati, Ramsundar's little daughter. Right in the middle. And this will again probably be 71, but yeah, 71. It's not the chariot from 70 or 71, one or the other. It's maybe 70. There's Leela Shakti on the front left, if you know her. Head Pujari in London for 30, 40 or more years. I can't recognize the others offhand. There's another Rathayatra picture. That's again similar picture with the bobbies and the chariot. You can see the canopy is a little different. It's quite simple. The tube. Again, same factors. They seem to be from the same. Again, it's on the plinth. There's Jagannatha up on the plinth. They're lucky now. They've made steps going up to that big building at the back. They weren't there in the old days. That was blocked. You couldn't go up like that. They made that a later date, so you can now put the chariots at the top, and you can get up there also. It's nice. That's Dhananjaya, on the left there, the man on the left. I'm not going to go through this because this is a famous verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. How Prabhupada talks about this Rathayatra in 1973, which is probably the most famous. Maybe the most famous in Iskcon history, isn't it? 1973, London Rathayatra. Prabhupada was there. He was there in 72. He came twice to Rathayatra in London, 72 and 73. Many of us, some of you here are dear Shanta Maharaj's disciples. Who's his disciple? Hands up. Anyone else disciple? 1, 2. Anyone else? Some others not here. As you know, great loss to all of us. We were initiated both together in 72 on Trafalgar Square by Prabhupada. Initiated together. Prabhupada did that in 72. I can't remember 73. It's a long, long story why I can't remember. How much you can get into it. Every Rathayatra has a story about it, you know. Many of the stories are never known to the devotees. They're like behind the scenes stories. Yeah. 73 is probably the most profound in that regards. This picture appeared in the London Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper, it's a national newspaper. The Guardian newspaper. This picture was on the front page. Jagannath Rathayatra rival to Nelson's column. Quite a credit, huh? Quite a credit, isn't it? You know, the residents of Puri compared the Rath car to Mount Meru, highest mountain or whatever it is in the universe. And similarly, Prabhupada says, the residents of London compare Lord Jagannath's Rath car to Nelson's column. He said the residents of London. I mean, he can include everybody in that credit, you know. It's so magnanimous. And Prabhupada describes how beautiful the chariot was. And it was very beautiful. You can see there, it was very beautiful. We only had one chariot in those days. However, that Rathayatra, historically speaking, changed a few factors. Because it's a well-documented, videoed Rathayatra in 1973. Here's one picture from that Rathayatra of Srila Prabhupada dancing. He did not sit on his Vyasasan. Normally, he would sit on his Vyasasan on the parade. Of course, we only had one Rath car. If there were 3, he would sit on Subhadras, at the feet of Subhadra, always. And now you see oftentimes Subhadra's kirtan is the smallest one. But if we realize Prabhupada was there, that would be the biggest one. Everyone would be there, you know, because Prabhupada was sitting there. But, you know, we're not perhaps thinking in the same vein. Good reasons, maybe. On that picture, you'll see many devotees. You may know some of them, maybe not. I can recognize everyone I can see on that picture because I was there. That's Hansaduta beating the drum on the left. Manu Prabhu, who was an Indian man from London, joined in England. Wonderful devotee, left his body a few years ago. On the far right, beating the drum, is Prabhu Vishnu. To his right, with some hands up in the air with a purple jumper, that's Prita Putra from France. And between him and Srila Prabhupada, in other words, between Srila Prabhupada's arms, that devotee's name is Revatanandan Swami, probably the most powerful kirtan leader we had in the UK. Very powerful. American devotee, sannyasi, wonderful devotee. So that was the dancing. And you may have heard from Shruti Kirti, perhaps he told you that when he was here recently. He came here recently, did he? Shruti Kirti, he's been here though, hasn't he? He may have told the story of how the London cops asked him to tell the old man to stop dancing because it was creating chaos on the road, because the devotees were just gathered around Prabhupada and they were just spilling over the whole of Piccadilly, you know, the road, Piccadilly, well, it's just called Piccadilly. The whole road there was blocked. And it was only meant to be half the road for the Rathayatra, but the whole road was blocked. The police could do nothing. There was like thousands of people going wild. And Prabhupada was right in the middle. And the Srila Kirti went up to him, Prabhupada, they want you to stop dancing. I mean, it didn't have any, it didn't go in. It just had no effect whatsoever. And then when they got to Trafalgar Square, this was Trafalgar Square's a lousy reproduction, I know that. But you can see how many people there are. That's the square. They're shoulder to shoulder. It's not like now where they're scattered all over the square. They were shoulder to shoulder from side to side of the square. Shoulder to shoulder. Many more people came in those days than now. In the square, not on the parade, in the square. And at least half of them, if not more, were white. Probably 3/4 were white people. It was absolutely amazing. And you can see what they put on the square. They just said that we wanted to put up a few little booths for our books and 1 or 2 little things. And then instead, they almost covered the square with a state-of-art tents, latest fashion. And to make sure that they didn't fall away, they hammered holes in the stone of the square and put, you know, these things in, metal pegs, just so it wouldn't fall over, you know. All with, you know, and it's for Lord Jagannath, isn't it? You don't need anyone else's permission. And as the Rathayatra gracefully entered into the square, several of the bollards on the square decided to uproot themselves by the grace of Lord Jagannath. And it's a miracle no one got killed. But anyway, they managed to get to the end, but the police weren't overly impressed. And this is another scene from the other angle of the tents and the people gathered there. And I'm not sure which issue, this probably is 74, I would imagine, because you see we've got palanquins. So I can't remember the scenario, because after 73, I was always volunteered to stay back at the manor to do all the cooking and puja and stuff, whilst everyone else went on the Rathayatra festival. So I wasn't personally there that year after 73, and basically for the rest of the time I was in London. In 73, I also didn't see the parade because we printed this most amazing glossy magazine, 64-page, heavy art paper magazine. Each magazine weighed at least half a kilo. It was like, I had this big bag. I had about 100 of these magazines on each side, you know, hanging from my shoulders on each side. And I had to sell these magazines because they had to pay the bill, which was an enormous bill, to print them. So a few of us, we just spent the whole Rathayatra festival trying to sell magazines. We had to get at least £2 each to cover cost. And that was a lot of money in those days for a magazine, you know, even though it was glossy. You know, £2 was like probably £20 now or something like that. You know, I don't know, but a lot of money. And so that was, everyone has their own relationship and you feel it. And just when our Rathayatra was cancelled just now in Paris, for me, that was the most blissful Rathayatra I've ever been on, or never went on. It was cancelled. But I felt more I was at Rathayatra than ever before, because there was a mood of separation which was inadvertently came upon us. It was so intense. I couldn't stop for 4 days talking about it with devotees. And it was just such an experience, even though there was no cart on the street, didn't even come, came from Belgium. There were no deities out there. There was no parade. There were no books sold on the street. No prasadam distributed out there. We had a Harinam party go out that day instead, but small, of course. But we had a program at the temple. 1,200. We quickly told everyone the day before what's happened. We only had 1.5 days' notice, and we had a festival in the temple for Jagannath. We just purchased 1,000 euros of flowers, and we decorated the altar and Jagannath and had a little altar outside for their pleasure. And 1,200 people came to the temple for the festival. And we distributed tons of books. So, it was like Krishna has another plan. It's another part of his understanding of Krishna consciousness. We are here to please Krishna. He is behind everything. And as we just heard, how much we were reading in that Jagannathastakam, how much pleasure the Lord was getting from being chastised by his own partner, Subhadra, Shri. He was very happy to be chastised. This is something which we don't realize. It's Krishna's hand behind everything. There's a reason for it. We have to learn from the circumstances. And Rathayatra is the greatest learning lesson. So we learned a lesson. Be a little bit more careful with the police next time. And they didn't let us use the Rath car after that. We had to carry them in palanquins from Marble Arch to Trafalgar Square. And that went on. I don't know if they got the Rath back because I left England in the early 80s. I wasn't here around at all during quite a long period of time in the UK. And I don't know what happened exactly, but in about 1996, I heard they got, the Manor case was settled, and it was a big celebration. And I heard that they managed to get back the route back to Trafalgar Square. They stopped the route, actually. That was the next thing the police did, or the authorities. We had to have the Rathayatra going to Battersea Park. Maybe some of you went there, I don't know. There's a picture here of, I think this is Battersea Park, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong, but according to the what I was told it is, but I don't know for sure, I never went there. But the whole festival was from Marble Arch to Battersea Park in London. And then after about 1999 or something, they got the route back to Trafalgar Square. And then they got the permission when Tikshu really got into it. Tikshu is Mr. Jayananda of the UK. He got the route back. And not only that, but he got the 3 chariots. 3 chariots. Incredible in London, 3 chariots. Going through the streets of London. How pleased Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj would be. So now we're going to look at a few other parts of the world. This is mostly from San Francisco. Prabhupada on the Rath car in San Francisco. There's Jayananda on the left, Narayan Prabhu there. I don't know the other devotees. Small Krishna in the back there. Hansaduda looking through behind Prabhupada, looking through a gap in the canopy there. And the others I don't know. There's another picture, I guess, from San Francisco of the chariot, presumably going. It doesn't look much of a chariot there. It probably got its canopy down. Well, again, these are almost all from San Francisco. Jayananda was the real Mr. Rathayatra in Iskcon in the 70s. He started the Rathayatra, or he created it probably wanted it, but he created it there with Shama Sundar in San Francisco. He did the building of the carts. He started the first Rathayatra in New York in 1976, built the carts. Miraculous things took place, absolutely miraculous. He started the first Rathayatra in Los Angeles, 77. But as they were preparing, everything was going on for the Rathayatra in Los. He got everything arranged, but he left the world a month or two before the actual festival. He left the world in May 77. And Prabhupada said he went back to Godhead. He was such a great devotee. Rathayatra is such a great festival. There's Prabhupada at the San Francisco Rathayatra in ecstasy. We can't understand what ecstasy is, but Prabhupada's definitely in ecstasy. All these are from San Francisco. You see a big effigy or statue of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there, which they would take on the parade, very tall, I think made out of paper mache, beautifully done. And that's the end of the festival. Perhaps this is 74 or something in San Francisco. And Prabhupada's on the stage, maybe earlier, I don't know. And, when he put his hands up and started dancing, and maybe it's not that one, may be another one, but There are many pictures there. And the crowd, they're all white. There's hardly an Indian person amongst them. Hardly one. Not to say we want to have 1 million Indian people at the Rathayatra, but we'd like to get 1 million white people too. We're in England, America, you know, it should be like that. And black people. Hey, we don't care what they are, but people of all nations, denominations, whatever their beliefs are. Back to Ahmedabad. That's a pretty big crowd, isn't it? Ahmedabad in Gujarat. That's a lot of people, man. That's like Jagannath Puri, isn't it? Incredible. Some of the Rathayatras in India are pretty well attended. I don't think Glasgow's quite that busy, is it? Maybe, yeah. Maybe this Sunday it will be. Who knows? Ah. And if you think it's a bit austere, here's one. Rathayatra in the snows of Siberia. As Prabhupada said, preaching in the snows of Siberia is much more sweet than the sweetest mango. So they're having Rathayatra. That's midday. That's Midsummer's Day when they're having the Rathayatra. You can't imagine what it's like in the winter. You won't see the Rathayatra. Now that's on a nice wintry day. Going to a park somewhere in Siberia. I don't know where. Quite something. Brave devotees, huh? Amazing. What a wonderful festival. Now I just cap off. We'll read a few things from Prabhupada. This is a letter of Prabhupada to Bhaktadas, a very old disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who was also very involved in the West Coast and Rathayatras and what have you. This is from 1973. Prabhupada wrote in this letter. He was a temple president of, I think, various temples, maybe San Francisco at that time, I don't know, but various temples at different times. Prabhupada writes, now introduce, it wouldn't be San Francisco, they already got it. Now introduce Rathayatra. That was my childhood activity. I want to see my disciples all over the world introduce 2 items. This is a very interesting statement, isn't it? Opening Radha Krishna temples and Rathayatra festivals. Doesn't mean therefore we just go out and do it. One has to have the, you know, the right consciousness, eligibility, but that's what Prabhupada wanted us to get. It's the same thing. It's not about just doing something passionately, it's becoming eligible to do it. He wants us to become eligible. Do this under the protection of Guru Garanga. In other words, first worship Guru Garanga. Please do everything cooperatively, for you will be happy. Your countrymen will be happy, and all living entities will be happy. If one waters the root, then all the branches, twigs, and leaves are automatically nourished. That is the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Nice letter. Another one to Madhuvisa, who was, Prabhupada said, the emperor of Kirtan, San Francisco Kirtan, emperor of Kirtan. This book distribution and Rathayatra festival should go on all over the world. I want to introduce this Rathayatra festival program all over the world. Right now, I don't know the numbers. I don't know if anyone does. I hope one day, and I hope one day soon, somebody will write a complete, like, you know, beautiful book about Rathayatra, its history and all the various places, all with pictures. Yeah, it would be a fabulous thing to do, wouldn't it? I asked Tikshu to do one from London. He's definitely thinking of for England. He's the man. He's got all the docs. He's been doing it for nearly 30 years now. And, you know, it'd be great to have one for the UK, but it'd be great to have one for the whole world as well. Rathayatra, to me, Rathayatra Fest is the most important thing going on in Iskcon, as far as preaching goes. If we introduce this festival, Prabhupada writes here too, Bhutatma, Prabhupada was in the manor when he wrote this. If we introduce this festival in all big cities of the world alongside with book distribution, then in no time we will conquer the whole world. Yes. How we interpret that, I'll leave it to you. Srila Prabhupada, I don't have the reference, but it is a bona fide statement. A few months ago, Prabhupada says, these American and European boys and girls did not know about Krishna. But just yesterday we saw how they were chanting Hare Krishna and dancing in ecstasy throughout the whole Rathayatra procession. Do you think that was artificial? No. Artificially, no. Nobody can chant and dance for hours together. They have actually awakened their Krishna consciousness by following a bona fide process. I won't mention names, but of course you know Ishan. One devotee at Liverpool Rathayatra, young devotee coming regularly to Manchester Temple now. It was about 5 months ago or something. He was a drug addict. And now he's dancing for 2 hours non-stop on the Rathayatra festival, chanting 16 rounds and following all the regulated principles. This is the miracle that Srila Prabhupada has done. And he said after the Birmingham, he came to Birmingham too. He said after the Birmingham Rathayatra, that was the greatest experience of his life, in his whole life. That's what Rathayatra is. It's meant that we enter deeply into it, absorb ourselves. Books going out, prasadam going out, dancing, chanting, pulling the ropes with all your heart. Whatever you have to do. Do something for Lord Jagannath's pleasure. Don't just stroll down the road, looking in the shops, looking up in the sky, looking at your mobiles. This often happens, isn't it? Having a chat with somebody you haven't seen for a while on the parade. You may do it at the beginning and end, that's understandable. But get into the parade. This is the real essence. Taking Krishna back to Vrindavan. That means us, helping us to develop that mood of eligibility to enter into Vrindavan. And his last 2 pages, I think, 2 or 3. This is an amazing statement in 1969, 1970, it's not clear in the database. In 1969, at the 3rd San Francisco Festival, Srila Prabhupada spoke these words. This inauguration of the Rathayatra Festival will bring a new chapter in the history of the world. It is that potent. It is stated in the Vedic literature that anyone who sees Lord Jagannath seated on this chariot will never again have to take birth within this miserable material world. Never again will you have to take birth. That's quite something, isn't it? Anyone who sees Lord Jagannath seated on this chariot will never again have to take birth within this miserable material world. Divine mercy. This inauguration of Rathayatra Festival will bring a new chapter in the history of the world. It is that potent. I read that already. I repeated the same thing. Prabhupada in Mumbai one time, Bombay in those days, was talking to Giriraj Maharaj and life members. This is early 70s, 73, maybe 4. They had no temple, permanent temple. They had a temporary temple on the land, that was all. And they had some life members there. Radharasa Bihari were there. But Prabhupada was talking to the life members and said, I want you to help to organize this Rathayatra festival in Mumbai. He said, this festival is so important, Giriraj told us. It is so important, he said. You know, when a person leaves his body at the time of death, and many of us don't think about it now, but those who are a little older, sometimes you start to feel it's not so far away. Especially this year, we've lost so many wonderful souls this year in Iskcon. Start to realize that. And, you know, how am I going to remember Krishna at the time of death? My God. How's that going to be? All the negative stuff's going to, God knows what's going to happen. The things I've done, said, etc. Geez, I haven't cleaned them up. What will happen? So Prabhupada said that when you die, your life film flashes before you. We've probably all heard that before. Like, you know, unwinding of a film reel. You see all these lights flashing by. And Prabhupada said, if someone sees Jagannath on a Rath car, that slide will come up too. And when that slide comes up, blank. Everything's blanked. Only Jagannath remains. There's hope. There's hope. This festival is so important. We need more and more Rathayatras, even in Les Mexico. It's a good place for that Rathayatra. Nice street there, you know. In the nice park at the end to have a festival. Right? They have it there?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, but they let you do it or not. Whatever. But this Rathayatra is such a wonderful celebration. It's not a celebration, but it's a celebration of Krishna going back to Vrindavan. It's a celebration. Everyone's going back to Vrindavan. It's a celebration of joy to see Lord Chaitanya so happy, to see all the devotees so happy, to see Srila Prabhupada so happy. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said we should have Rathayatra in London, and it should end up, what was it, in Eastbourne, I think he said. It should go from London to Eastbourne, because in India they don't know that Eastbourne. They think it's that London's on, like Bombay is on the coast. You've got Chowpatty Beach. They think that Eastbourne is like the beach on the side of London or something. It's like 50 miles away or something. They had Parashram put on a Rathayatra in Eastbourne just to try to fulfill that prediction or that wish of Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. And here's the last quote, and certainly not the least. Listen to this one. This is the crunch. And you're leaving at the crunch. You need another type of crunch. Just listen to this. This is the last quote, Adoksha. Where you going? One quote left. You can't leave at this moment. You never go back to Godhead. Therefore, if you participate in these car festivals, as it is stated in Scripture, if you kindly see these Jagannath deities riding on these carts and in procession, and as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted the Hare Krishna mantra in front of this cart, then according to our Vedic scripture, if you participate in this festival, in your next life, you will go back home, back to Godhead. Got it? Don't take it for granted, but that's the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And that was at the 1970 Rathayatra Festival in San Francisco. And there's Prabhupada at the Rathayatra. And everyone in the audience, everybody, Keshava Bharati Maharaj was there at this Rathayatra. He told me he was at the back of the book table. About 10,000 young hippies mostly. Everyone put their hands up and started jumping. Practically everyone. It was just like, boom. Like everyone just lifted off the ground as Prabhupada put his hands up and started jumping. So let us jump. And if we have enough bananas, we'll definitely be able to jump. Make sure you bring lots of bananas on Sunday, okay? Yeah, nice big bananas. Keep us going. Thank you all very much. Jai Jagannath Rathayatra Festival Ki Jai. Yeah. Any comments or questions? Yes, Chandravan.
That picture, Maharaj.
This one?
That one, Prabhupada. Yeah. I got given a Chaitanya Charanamrita. It's an old one now. It's very worn from Prabhupada Prana here. And he says that the picture that was in it was the deal was if I gave him another one, he would give me
quite catch it. The touch of what?
A picture. I've got a
that
picture. It was taken. An actual photograph. I've got one of him just like that.
Where?
In the house.
Yeah, no, you mean this exact?
Is it possible that it's a genuine thing? I'm wondering.
Original?
Was there somebody taken?
Well, there was one picture of this taken. I don't know who took it. Somebody took it, and that's been, circulated, reprinted thousands and tens of thousands.
Maybe it's a reprint.
All over the world. I have a nice poster up in through my stay in New Mayapur. This picture, one of my favorites, is the mood of Prabhupada. Everyone come with me. We're going back to Vrindavan. Don't waste your time here. Come. Open arms, Lord Chaitanya, open arms, Srila Prabhupada, open arms. Come. Most wonderful painting. There's another one, Prabhupada, like the same in Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, on the deities. I've got that up too. Dancing in front of Radha Gokulan, looking at them with love. You can see his eyes just glistening with love. And that's the last slide. Anything else? You okay?
Great.
So maybe we can pick up a little bit of inspiration to try to absorb ourselves, not just in active service, which we should do, but also a little bit in the mood of what's behind this Rathayatra festival. It is not a show, it is not an exhibition, it's not just a festival. This is a display of the highest loving relationship between Radha and Krishna. Festival. We may obviously not experience that, but at least we can remember it and try to act in a way to satisfy their desires. And definitely just doing as many books as you can. You may not have enough devotees to do as many as you'd like. but is a major part of this festival. This to be the knowledge of Rathayatra, or the knowledge behind the mood of Rathayatra. Bhagavad Gita's knowledge, preliminary knowledge, to help us to develop the eligibility to really enter in, and so on. Srimad Bhagavatam takes us up to the 10th canto, and that very mood of Radharani and the gopis of separation, that's like the pinnacle of the whole Bhagavatam. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is a living demonstration of Lord Chaitanya living that mood of Radharani in actual, public, you could say, during the Rathayatra festival, the living force of this mood of Rathayatra. Oh, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank
Your
you.
name?
Krishna Kishore Das.
Krishna Krishna.
Thank you for a wonderful class. Thank you for your inspiration. Ukraine.
Pardon?
Ukraine. My question is, you mentioned in your class that Sarup Damodara, he knew how to lead kirtan in a particular period of the day, what raga we should use, So is it something that we should imply in our spiritual life as well? Like we should learn what time we should lead, which tune, which melody, which raga, and to do so, or how important is this part?
Whether that would go down or work in our present situation. There may be time and circumstance for that, but Sarup Damodar wasn't thinking what time of day it was. He was tuned in. He was Nimitta Matrabhava Sarvasachi. He was instrument of Lord Chaitanya's heart. So whatever mood Lord Chaitanya was in, whether it was according to raga or according to time of day or anything come to that, it was totally tuned into his mood, and he was just there. Everything was flowing according to the Lord's mood to facilitate that particular mood between Lord Chaitanya, Lord Jagannath, and so on like that, which obviously we cannot do. One thing we can do, is something to bear in mind, is, which is something we don't have now, of course, but Srila Prabhupada attended many Rathayatras. And this is the principle, not just for Rathayatra, it can be a principle for everything, whether it's cooking, cleaning, deity worship, preaching, everything you can think of, practically managing, etc. The way that Srila Prabhupada showed us, the way that he, by his own personal example and by his teachings. And a good guideline here was, would I do this if Prabhupada was stood next to me now? It's a good thought. If Prabhupada conscious, which is inseparable from Krishna consciousness. So that consciousness of, would we say what we're saying if Prabhupada was right here now? Would we cook what we're cooking if I knew that Prabhupada was, daily worship, everything under this consciousness, whatever degree we can. And no, there's going to be differences of opinion, but we're not going to argue about those differences of opinion. We're not going to impose what I understand on someone else. At least we can try to live that mood according to our understanding or our impression of how Prabhupada is. Okay. Is that okay? What's happened? Oh, sorry, I wasn't going down the floor. I thought that meant the end of it all. Probably does. 7 o'clock, isn't it? Jai. Mayapusha Nitai. Koda Nitai Mayapusha Shiki Jai. Nath Ki Jai. Jagannathastakam Ki Jai. The Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Premanandi. Probably Kirtan more than anything else. This principle applies in Kirtan probably more than anywhere, because this tendency is to make it becomes too much of a show. Sometimes too much of a show, and you've got to play the harmonium, and you've got to, be expert, tune, new tune. Sometimes the real mature devotees, they don't have to go there, but a lot of devotees do. So much a show. You have to dress, and you look very flamboyant with, shiny hairs, and, fancy this, that, so many things. I don't think we would do that for the problem. I don't think so. I don't know, maybe certain circumstance Prabhupada allowed everything, of course he did. Not as the leading force within the Prabhupada. It can be there for attracting the public, it can be there for inspiring people to get connected, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur described. 2 kinds of kirtan. One kirtan is the pure kirtan, and the other is the like a hooking kirtan, which hooks people in. In other words, musical instruments are played in such a way, and dress, dance, everything hooks people in, but it doesn't purify their hearts much. But if the leader is pure, then even that is an instrument to bring people closer to pure kirtan. Pure kirtan doesn't depend on anything whatsoever except for Krishna. Not even on the voice. It's said that Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj was, many times he would stop the good kirtan leaders and put someone in leading who couldn't even sing properly out of tune, because there was too much of a showy factor involved. Prabhupada would definitely not approve of this Radhi that goes on in many of our kirtans these days. What to speak of it, Rathayatra. Never would you wouldn't dare do that in front of Prabhupada. You'd be stopped on the spot. Stopped on the spot. It's quite a common affair nowadays. And you may say there's some place for it up in Rishikesh or somewhere where the hippies are. Whoops, all the types of yogis hang out. But that's not Prabhupada. Didn't ever do that. Never. Internally, that's another thing. We don't make our internal mood imposing on others who don't have the same mood. Yeah, we have to become eligible. We try to jump over, we try to run before we can walk, as they say. Just be conscious of that. I don't, some senior devotees do it, so be it. My business. But as a general principle, we don't stick with what Prabhupada said to as much degree as we can. I can say in the dancing, he didn't say this and that, but he did say sometimes the dancing goes into ecstasy and it's not the normal dancing. So sometimes that happens, but it's not like, setting necessarily much of a precedent too much. Tunes and songs that we sing and style and everything sets a strong precedent for the future. Very strong. I don't know what the next leg will be. Let's see what Chaitanya has. To preserve a little bit of the legacy Prabhupada gave us is pretty important. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
There's one book by Jagannathastakam Maharaj. What's it called? Huh? On Kirtan. Something. It's pretty close to what, we had a Kirtan Standards Committee for a decade, came up with all kinds of things, but, it wasn't our agenda to write a book on it. But proposing to the GBC, some of them got proposed, and most of it, they didn't even look. But we've got all the information, and if Krishna wants, if he allows, I'll put it all into print one day. Decade of research by about 10 senior devotees from Bhakti Lukash to Hari Sori to Lokanath Maharaj to Gunagrahi Maharaj to Jagajivan. Vayatsiki was on that committee. So many of us discussing over and over again different points. Partly my fault, never became of it because I was the chairman, but never became fruition or the roots were never available. Hare Krishna. What's happening? No, it's the one up the top there. It's a really powerful sun. Powerful sun. Very powerful.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Jagannath Rathayatra ki jai. All praise.